Figure it out yourself. My daughter yelled when I asked for help with my phone. What I did next would make she regret forever. I was staring at my phone screen, tears blurring the words I couldn't understand, when I heard my daughter's voice cut through the line like a knife. Figure it out yourself. 3 words. That's all it took to shatter 25 years of sacrifice into pieces I didn't know how to pick up. The call ended. Just a click. Cold. Final. In the background, before she hung up, I heard him laughing. Richard. Her boyfriend. Laughing at me. At the old woman who couldn't figure out how to change her phone settings. I sat there in my small apartment, the one I'd lived in for 15 years because I couldn't afford anything better. Not after paying for her private school. Not after covering her college textbooks. Not after co-signing her car loan just 3 months ago. My hands were shaking. The phone felt heavy. Foreign. Like everything else in this world that moved too fast for someone like me. I looked up at the wall. There she was. 7 years old in that photo, gap-toothed smile, holding the bike I'd saved 4 months to buy her. She'd hugged me so tight that day. Told me I was the best mom in the whole world. When did I become the burden? Before continuing, if this story is touching your heart, subscribe to the channel and tell us in the comments where you are watching from. Don't forget to ring the notification bell, because every day I'm bringing you stories of women who turn their deepest pain into a new good way of living their lives. I made a decision right there. My finger hovered over her contact name. Emma. My whole world for so long. And then I blocked her number. What happened next changed both of our lives forever. The silence in my apartment felt different after I blocked her number. Heavier. Like the air itself was holding its breath, waiting to see if I'd break. I didn't sleep that night. I kept staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment that led me here. 25 years ago, I was 30 when Emma's father walked out. She was 3. Barely old enough to understand why Daddy wasn't coming home anymore. I remember her little face pressed against the window every evening, waiting. Hoping. He never came back. So I became everything. Mother and father. Provider and comforter. The one who worked the morning shift at the grocery store and the evening shift cleaning offices downtown. I'd get home at midnight, exhausted, and still check on her sleeping face. Still make sure her school uniform was clean for the morning. I remember her first day of school. The other mothers arrived in nice cars, wearing clothes that matched, carrying designer bags. I showed up on the bus, my work shoes scuffed, my coat 3 winters old. But Emma never knew we were poor. I made sure of that. I worked overtime every holiday season so she could have the toys the other kids had. I learned to cut her hair myself so we could save money. I wore the same winter coat for 8 years while she got a new one every time she grew. When she was 12, she wanted to join the dance academy. $200 a month. I took on weekend shifts. I stopped buying coffee on my breaks. I learned to make meals stretch across 4 days instead of 2. She was so happy. Her face lit up every time she danced. That's all I ever wanted. Her happiness. High school came with new expenses. A laptop for school projects. Money for prom. Senior trip expenses. I said yes to everything. I picked up extra cleaning contracts. I negotiated with my landlord to fix things myself in exchange for lower rent. She got into a good college. Not the top university she'd dreamed of, but a solid school. The tuition was crushing. I took out loans. I co-signed her student loans. I sent her money every month for books, for food, for life. I told myself it was worth it. Every sacrifice. Every sleepless night wondering how I'd make the next payment. She graduated 3 years ago. I was so proud. I wore my best dress to the ceremony. The same dress I'd worn to every important occasion for the past decade. She barely looked at me in the photos. Too busy with her friends. That should have been my first sign. The calls started coming more frequently after graduation. She needed money for her apartment deposit. Then first month's rent. Then furniture. Then her car down payment. Then the insurance. Then when the car broke down. Then when she lost her job and needed help until she found another one. I gave her everything. Every time. My own dreams sat in a drawer. The art class brochure I'd picked up 5 years ago, yellowed now. The travel magazine with destinations I'd circled but never visited. The journal where I used to write, now gathering dust. I postponed my own life. Over and over. Because she needed me. Except she didn't need me. She needed my wallet. 3 months ago, she started dating Richard. I met him once. He looked at my apartment the way people look at something dirty they stepped in. His watch probably cost more than my monthly rent. After that, Emma's calls became shorter. More impatient. She stopped asking how I was. She'd launch straight into what she needed. 2 months ago, I asked if she wanted to come over for dinner. Sunday dinner. We used to do that every week when she was younger. She said she was busy. Richard was taking her somewhere nice. I made the dinner anyway. Ate alone. Saved the leftovers she never came to pick up. Last month, I tried to learn how to use my phone better. The world was moving online. Banking. Bills. Everything. I was being left behind and I knew it. I called her one evening. Asked if she could show me how to set up the mobile banking app. It would save me the bus fare to the bank every week. She sighed. That long, exasperated sigh. The one that said I was inconveniencing her. Come on, it's not that hard. Just figure it out. But she stayed on the line. Walked me through it with the patience of someone doing a chore. I thanked her 3 times. She hung up without saying goodbye. A week later, I needed help with something else. The phone updated overnight and everything looked different. I couldn't find my messages. I panicked because Emma had sent me something important about her car insurance payment. I called her. That's when everything changed. She answered, and I could immediately hear the irritation in her voice. What now? I explained about the update. About not being able to find things. About just needing 5 minutes of her time. That's when I heard Richard in the background. Is it your mom again? Tell her to Google it. And then Emma said it. Those 3 words that cracked something inside my chest. Figure it out yourself. I'm tired of this. You call me every week with these stupid questions. Other people your age figure this stuff out. Why can't you? I tried to speak. Tried to explain. I'm trying to learn. I just need help. She cut me off. No, you need to try harder. I can't keep doing this. I have my own life. And then Richard's laughter. Clear. Mocking. The call ended. I sat there, the phone still pressed to my ear, listening to the silence that followed. My neighbor Margaret found me in the hallway an hour later. I'd gone to get my mail and just stood there, staring at the bills I couldn't understand, tears running down my face. She took my arm gently. Come on. Coffee. My place. Margaret's apartment smelled like cinnamon and safety. She made tea instead of coffee. Set out cookies I couldn't eat because my throat was too tight. Tell me, she said simply. And I did. Everything poured out. The years of sacrifice. The mounting realization that I'd raised someone who saw me as a burden. The shame of being the mother who couldn't keep up with technology. The pain of being dismissed by the person I'd given everything to. Margaret listened. Really listened. And when I finished, she didn't tell me I was overreacting. She didn't tell me Emma was just busy or stressed. She said something I'll never forget. You taught her that your needs don't matter. You taught her that you're supposed to disappear so she can shine. And now you're surprised she believes it? The words hit like cold water. That night, I went home and looked at my phone. Emma had sent 3 texts. Whatever. You're being dramatic. The second, if you're going to guilt trip me, I don't need this. The third, Richard's right. You need to learn to handle your own problems. I blocked her number. Changed my voicemail. Deleted our text thread. And then I waited. The first 3 days were the hardest. My phone felt like a weight in my pocket. I kept checking it, expecting to see her name even though I'd blocked it. Muscle memory from 25 years of being available. Always available. Margaret checked on me daily. Brought me soup. Sat with me while I cried. On day 4, curiosity got the better of me. I unblocked Emma's number just to see if she tried to reach me. 17 missed calls. 23 texts. My heart jumped. Maybe she was worried. Maybe she'd realized. Maybe she was sorry. I opened the messages. The first few were annoyed. Mom, seriously? Why aren't you answering? Then, this is childish. Then, I need to talk to you about something important. Important. My stomach twisted. I scrolled further. My car payment bounced. Did you forget to transfer the money? I stared at that message. Read it 3 times. She thought I'd forgotten. Not that I'd stopped. That I'd made a mistake she needed me to fix. The next messages came rapid fire over the following hours. Mom, answer your phone. This isn't funny. I need that money today or they're going to repo my car. Where are you? Then a voicemail. I played it. Her voice was sharp. Agitated. I don't know what game you're playing, but I have real problems here. Call me back. Now. Not once did she ask if I was okay. Not once did she apologize. I blocked her number again. Day 7. Margaret and I were having coffee at the local cafe, our new Tuesday routine. She was telling me about her grandson when my phone buzzed. A number I didn't recognize. I answered without thinking. Finally! Emma's voice exploded through the speaker. I've been trying to reach you for a week. What is wrong with you? I should have hung up. Instead, something hard settled in my chest. I'm fine. I'm busy. Busy? You're never busy. Look, I need you to call the bank. There's been a mistake with my account and... No. One word. It felt like jumping off a cliff. Silence on the other end. Then, what do you mean, no? I mean no. I'm not calling your bank. That's your responsibility. Are you serious right now? Mom, I could lose my apartment. The rent check bounced. You're 25 years old. You have a college degree. Figure it out. I hung up. My hands were shaking so badly I nearly dropped the phone. Margaret reached across the table and squeezed my hand. Proud of you. But I didn't feel proud. I felt sick. Terrified. Like I'd just pushed my own child off a bridge. The messages started coming to Margaret's phone next. Emma must have gotten her number from someone. Margaret showed me each one without responding. Tell her to call me. This is an emergency. I don't understand what I did wrong. That last one made me laugh. A bitter, broken sound. She really didn't know. Before we continue, make sure to like this video and subscribe. With your support, we can keep bringing more stories from powerful women that touch the heart of all of us. Week 2 brought a new level of desperation. Emma created a new email address to contact me. The subject line, please read. Mom, I don't know what's happening. Richard broke up with me. He said I was too needy, too broke, too much drama. My landlord gave me an eviction notice. My credit card is maxed out. I have $40 to my name and my phone bill is due. I need help. Please. I read it 5 times. Each time, I felt the familiar pull. The urge to fix it. To save her. Margaret must have seen it in my face. Don't, she said firmly. This is what needs to happen. But she's suffering. So were you. For 25 years. And she never noticed. Week 3. I was walking home from the grocery store when I heard footsteps running behind me. I turned. Emma. She looked different. Her hair wasn't styled. No makeup. Wearing jeans and a simple sweater instead of her usual designer clothes. Her eyes were red. We need to talk, she said. Not angry this time. Pleading. I kept walking. She followed. I lost the condo. I'm staying with a friend. I had to sell my car. I can't afford anything. I have job interviews but nothing's coming through and I don't know what to do and you won't even talk to me. I stopped walking. Turned to face her. What do you want from me, Emma? I want, she started, then stopped. Her face crumbled. I need you to fix this. There it was. The truth. I can't fix this. You have to. You always fix things. That's what you do. No. I took a breath. What I did was make it so you never had to learn how to fix things yourself. That's not fair. Isn't it? When was the last time you asked me how I was doing? When was the last time you called just to talk? Not to ask for money or help or something you needed, but just because you wanted to hear my voice? She opened her mouth. Closed it. Couldn't answer. I raised you to be strong. But I forgot to let you struggle. I forgot to let you fail. I thought I was protecting you. Instead, I was crippling you. A jogger passed us. A car honked somewhere. Normal life continuing while ours fractured. I'm sorry I yelled at you, Emma said finally. About the phone thing. I was stressed and Richard was being a jerk and I took it out on you. But you can't just abandon me over one fight. It wasn't one fight. My voice cracked. It was 25 years of me disappearing so you could exist. It was you treating me like an inconvenience when I needed 5 minutes of patience. It was you never once asking yourself why a 53-year-old woman might struggle with technology that changed every month. It was you seeing me as a problem to manage instead of a person who has feelings and needs and limits. Tears streamed down her face. I didn't mean to make you feel that way. But you did. And you never noticed. Not until the money stopped and suddenly you had to face your own life. She stood there, crying. Part of me wanted to hold her. To tell her everything would be okay. To fall back into the pattern of fixing and saving and sacrificing. Instead, I adjusted my grocery bag and started walking. You'll figure it out, I said without turning around. You're smart. You're capable. You just never had to be before. I heard her sob behind me. I kept walking. That night, I lay in bed and wondered if I was being cruel. If I was punishing her unfairly. If I was the bad mother she probably thought I was. But then I remembered her voice on that phone call. The dismissiveness. The contempt. The laughter in the background. I remembered every time I'd gone without so she could have more. Every dream I'd postponed. Every piece of myself I'd given away. No. I wasn't being cruel. I was finally being honest. Week 4 brought silence. No calls. No texts. No encounters on the street. Margaret said she'd seen Emma at the laundromat. Struggling with the machines. Looking lost. Good, I said. And I meant it. Month 2, I started that art class. The one I'd been putting off for 5 years. Tuesday and Thursday evenings at the community center. I was terrible at it. My hands shook when I tried to paint. The colors never looked right. But I was doing something for myself. Finally. The instructor, a woman in her 60s named Patricia, smiled at my clumsy attempts. You're trying. That's what matters. Month 3, I was at Margaret's weekly coffee when Emma appeared in the doorway of the cafe. She looked different again. Thinner. Tired. But something else too. Something in her eyes that hadn't been there before. She walked to our table slowly. May I sit? I nodded. She sat. Ordered water. Didn't speak for a long moment. Then, I got a job. 2 jobs actually. Waitressing in the morning, retail at night. I found a room to rent. It's small. There's mold in the bathroom and the neighbors are loud, but it's mine. I'm paying for it myself. I waited. I've been learning things, she continued. How to budget. How to do laundry without ruining everything. How to cook something other than pasta. How to pay bills on time. How to ask for help at work without feeling like I'm weak. That's good, I said carefully. It's hard. She looked at me directly. I had no idea how hard everything was. How hard you made it look easy. A crack appeared in my carefully constructed wall. I've been seeing a therapist. She said I should write you a letter. Apologize properly. Explain everything. She pulled a folded paper from her pocket. I wrote 6 drafts. But none of them said what I really need to say. What's that? I didn't see you. All those years, I didn't see you as a person. Just as my mom. Like you existed only to serve me. And when you needed something small, something simple, I acted like you were asking for the world. She wiped her eyes. The truth is, you gave me the world every single day. And I never said thank you. The cafe noise faded. Margaret quietly excused herself. I'm not here to ask you to fix my life, Emma continued. I'm here to tell you that I'm fixing it. Slowly. And I'm here to ask if maybe, someday, you might let me be part of yours again. Not as someone who takes. But as someone who gives back. Even a little. I looked at my daughter. Really looked at her. Saw the exhaustion. The humility. The fear that I might say no. But I also saw something new. Something that looked like growth. Coffee, I said finally. Once a week. Here. That's all I can offer right now. She nodded quickly. That's more than I deserve. And no phone calls asking for money. No emergencies I'm expected to solve. No assuming I'll drop everything. I understand. This isn't me being your mother right now. This is me being a person who needs to protect herself. Can you understand that? Yes. Her voice broke. I understand. We sat there in that cafe, the space between us filled with years of pain and new, fragile possibility. It wasn't forgiveness yet. But it was a beginning. The weekly coffees became our new normal. Every Tuesday at 10 in the morning. Emma would arrive exactly on time. Never early, never late. She'd order her own coffee. Pay for it herself. We'd talk for exactly 1 hour, then she'd leave. The first few weeks were stilted. Careful. Like we were learning a new language together. She told me about her jobs. The demanding customers at the restaurant. The retail manager who reminded her of her high school principal. She talked about her tiny room, how she'd learned to make it feel like home with thrift store finds. I told her about my art class. About Patricia and the other students. About how freeing it felt to be bad at something and not care. We didn't talk about the past. Not yet. That wound was still too fresh. Month 4, she showed up looking exhausted. Dark circles under her eyes. Her hands shaking slightly around her coffee cup. I waited. Our new pattern was that I didn't ask. She would tell me if she wanted to. I got fired from the restaurant, she said finally. A customer complained that I was rude. I wasn't. I was just tired. But they didn't care. I felt the familiar urge rise up. To fix it. To offer money to cover her while she found something else. To make phone calls. To solve the problem. Instead, I said, that's hard. I'm sorry that happened. She looked at me, surprised. Then nodded. Yeah. It is hard. What are you going to do? I have applications out at 3 other places. One of them called yesterday. I have an interview Friday. That's good initiative. Something shifted in her face. Like she'd expected me to swoop in and was only now realizing I wouldn't. That she was on her own. The silence stretched between us. Uncomfortable. Then she said something that surprised me. Can I ask you something? Of course. How did you do it? All those years. 2 jobs. Raising me alone. Never complaining. How? I took a sip of my coffee. Thought about lying. Making it sound noble. Heroic. Instead, I told the truth. I complained. In my head. Every single day. I cried in the shower so you wouldn't hear. I resented your father for leaving. I resented that other mothers had help and I didn't. I resented that I couldn't afford the things you wanted. But I loved you more than I resented the circumstances. So I kept going. She stared at me. I never knew that. You weren't supposed to. That was my burden to carry, not yours. But maybe, she started, then stopped. Started again. Maybe if I'd known it was hard, I would have appreciated it more. Maybe. Or maybe you would have felt guilty, and childhood shouldn't be about guilt. I shook my head. I don't regret protecting you from the struggle. I regret not teaching you that struggle exists. Her eyes filled with tears. She didn't wipe them away this time. I'm learning that now, she whispered. Month 5 brought a shift. Emma showed up with something in her hand. A small potted plant. For you, she said, setting it on the table. I remembered you used to love plants. Before you couldn't afford them anymore. The gesture was small. Insignificant to anyone else. But to me, it was the first time in years she'd thought about what I might want rather than what she needed. Thank you, I said. And meant it. That day, we talked for 90 minutes instead of 60. She asked me about my week. Really asked. Listened to the answers. Told me about a book she was reading. We laughed about a ridiculous customer at her new job. For the first time, it felt less like a negotiation and more like a relationship. But month 6 brought the real test. Emma arrived at the cafe 20 minutes late. Her face was blotchy. She'd been crying. She sat down heavily and put her head in her hands. I waited. I can't do this anymore, she said into her palms. I can't. It's too hard. Everything is too hard. My heart constricted. This was it. The moment where she'd ask me to rescue her. Where she'd beg me to go back to the way things were. Tell me what happened, I said carefully. Everything. She looked up. My rent went up. I can barely afford it now. My car insurance from before went to collections and it's destroying my credit. I have medical bills from when I got sick last month. I'm working 60 hours a week and I'm still broke. I see my old friends on social media living these perfect lives and I'm eating ramen for the 3rd day in a row because it's all I can afford. The pain in her voice was real. Raw. Part of me wanted to write a check right there. End her suffering. Instead, I asked, what do you need from me right now? She looked at me. Really looked at me. And I saw something in her eyes I'd never seen before. Understanding. I need to say this out loud to someone who'll understand. She took a shaky breath. I need to tell someone that I'm scared and exhausted and I don't know if I'm going to make it. And I need you to not fix it. Because if you fix it, I'll never learn. I'll never be strong like you. The cafe seemed to go quiet. Or maybe that was just the blood rushing in my ears. You are strong, I said quietly. You're doing it. You're surviving. It doesn't feel like surviving. It feels like drowning. I know. I reached across the table. Stopped just short of touching her hand. But you're still breathing. That's what matters. How did you keep going? When it felt like this? I thought about you. About the kind of person I wanted you to become. I thought about the future I was building for you, even if I couldn't see it clearly. And on the really bad days, I thought about my own mother. About how she survived worse. And I told myself that if she could do it, I could too. Emma was quiet for a long moment. Then, I think about you now. When it's really bad. I think about how you did this for 25 years. And if you could do it that long, I can do it for one more day. Something broke open in my chest. Not the walls. Not yet. But a small crack. Light seeping through. That's all any of us can do. One more day. Then another. Then another. Until suddenly you look back and realize you've built something real. She nodded. Wiped her eyes. I got the interview. The one I told you about. They offered me the job. It pays $3 more an hour than the restaurant did. That's wonderful. I start Monday. She almost smiled. I'm terrified. Good. Terror means it matters. We sat there, the morning sun slanting through the cafe windows, and for the first time in months, I felt something like hope. But 2 weeks later, everything exploded. I was at home, working on a painting for class, when someone pounded on my door. Urgent. Desperate. I opened it to find Emma. Her face was streaked with tears. Her hair was a mess. She pushed past me into the apartment. You have to help me, she said. Her voice was frantic. Panicked. Please. You have to. My body went cold. What happened? Are you hurt? No. She paced my small living room like a caged animal. I messed up. I messed up so bad. Tell me what happened. The words came tumbling out. She'd gotten the new job. It was going well. But then her roommate moved out suddenly, leaving her with double the rent. She'd panicked. Taken out a payday loan to cover it. But the interest was insane. She couldn't pay it back. They were threatening legal action. She needed $1,500. Right now. And you came here for the money, I said flatly. She stopped pacing. Looked at me. Yes. No. I don't know. Which is it? I came here because I'm scared and I don't know what else to do, and you always knew what to do. Her voice echoed in my small space. The same voice that had yelled at me 6 months ago. Figure it out yourself. I sat down slowly on my couch. Felt the weight of 25 years pressing on my shoulders. I don't have $1,500, I said quietly. You could get it. You could take out a loan or... like the ones I'm still paying off from your college? The ones that will follow me into retirement? She stopped. Stared at me. I don't have $1,500 lying around, Emma. I never did. Every time I gave you money, I was taking it from something else. From groceries. From my own bills. From any hope of ever having savings. But you always... I always found a way. By sacrificing. By going without. By destroying my own financial stability to build yours. The silence was deafening. I'm not doing that anymore, I continued. Not because I don't love you. But because it didn't help you. It hurt you. It taught you that money just appears. That problems just solve themselves. That you don't have to face consequences. So you're just going to let me get sued? Her voice rose. Let me lose everything? You're not going to lose everything. You're going to face a hard situation and figure out how to handle it. You're going to call the loan company and negotiate a payment plan. You're going to find a new roommate or a cheaper place. You're going to ask your boss about overtime or find a third job. You're going to do what millions of people do every single day. You're going to survive. I can't. Yes. I stood up. Looked her in the eye. You can. Because you're my daughter. And I raised you to be stronger than this. I just never let you prove it. She stood there, shaking. Her face cycling through emotions. Anger. Fear. Desperation. Then something else. Something that looked like recognition. You're not going to save me, she said. It wasn't a question. No. Even though you could. I probably could find a way. But I won't. Because saving you would be the worst thing I could do right now. She sank onto my couch. Put her head in her hands. Started crying. Not the manipulative crying from before. Real, broken sobs. I sat beside her. Didn't touch her. Just sat. After a long time, she spoke. Her voice was small. Childlike. I'm so sorry. For everything. For how I treated you. For taking everything you gave and never seeing the cost. For making you feel like you didn't matter. For that phone call. For all of it. I know. I don't know if I can do this alone. You're not alone. I'm here. Margaret's here. But we're here to support you, not rescue you. There's a difference. She looked at me. Her face was raw. Vulnerable. I see that now. I finally see it. And that's more important than $1,500. She laughed. A broken, wet sound. Wiped her face. Took a shaky breath. Okay. She stood up. Her legs were unsteady. Okay. I'll figure it out. You will. She walked to the door. Stopped. Turned back. For what it's worth, you're the strongest person I know. And I'm going to spend the rest of my life trying to be half as strong as you. She left. The door clicked shut. I sat in the silence of my apartment and cried. For the first time in months, not from pain. From pride. 3 weeks passed before I heard from Emma again. 3 weeks of me wondering if I'd pushed too hard. If I'd lost her for good this time. But on a Tuesday morning, she appeared at the cafe. Our usual time. She looked different. Lighter somehow. Despite the exhaustion still visible in her eyes. I handled it, she said as she sat down. Before I could even ask. I called the loan company. Negotiated a payment plan. It'll take me a year to pay it off, but I can do it. I found a new roommate through a coworker. And I picked up weekend shifts at a coffee shop. I felt relief flood through me. That's incredible. She smiled. Small. Real. It was the worst 3 weeks of my life. I barely slept. I cried every single day. But I did it myself. I'm proud of you. Her eyes filled with tears. That means more than you know. We had our coffee. Talked about normal things. She told me about her new roommate, a nursing student who kept odd hours but was kind. I told her about the painting I'd finally finished for class, even though it looked nothing like what I'd envisioned. As we were leaving, she touched my arm. Can I ask you something? Always. Would you want to come to dinner? At my place. Nothing fancy. Just spaghetti. But I'd like you to see where I live now. How I'm managing. It was an olive branch. An invitation into her world. I'd like that. The following Sunday, I took the bus to her new apartment. It was in a rough neighborhood. The building needed paint. The hallway smelled like old cooking and mildew. Her room was tiny. A single bed, a small dresser, a kitchenette in the corner. But she'd made it home. Thrift store art on the walls. Plants on the windowsill. Clean and organized. It's not much, she said nervously. But it's mine. I looked around. Saw the life she was building with her own hands. It's perfect. We ate spaghetti at her small table. She'd made garlic bread. Burned it slightly. We laughed about it. And for the first time in years, we talked about the past. Really talked. She told me about the pressure she'd felt growing up. How she'd known we didn't have money but I never let her see me struggle. How she'd learned to just ask for things and they appeared. How she'd never understood the cost. I should have taught you differently, I admitted. I should have let you see the struggle. Help with solutions. Learn that everything costs something. You were trying to protect me. She pushed her spaghetti around her plate. I understand that now. You wanted me to have the childhood you didn't have. But I went too far. I made it so you never had to learn resilience. She looked up at me. You're teaching me now. Something in my chest loosened. A knot I'd been carrying for months. Over the following weeks, our relationship transformed. She called sometimes just to talk. Not every day. Not constantly. But regularly. She'd tell me about her day. Ask about mine. Send me photos of things that made her think of me. Small things. Normal things. The things families do. She came to my art class one evening. Sat in the back and watched me paint. Afterward, she hugged me. Whispered, "I'm proud of you too, Mom." Month 8, she helped an elderly neighbor carry groceries up the stairs. Told me about it like it was nothing. But I saw what it was. Her learning to give instead of just take. Month 9, I mentioned I needed to figure out how to use a new feature on my phone. She offered to help immediately. Then caught herself. Wait. Do you want help? Or do you want to figure it out yourself first? I smiled. I'd like help. But patient help. The kind you give someone you care about. She sat beside me. Walked me through it slowly. Never once acted like I was stupid. Never once sighed with impatience. When we finished, she said, "Thank you." For what? For giving me the chance to give back. Even in small ways. Year 1 of our new relationship arrived quietly. We were at our usual cafe, our usual Tuesday morning, when she pulled out an envelope. "What's this?" "Open it." Inside was a card. Handmade. Inside, she'd written, "1 year ago, you taught me the hardest lesson anyone ever taught me. You taught me that love isn't always soft. Sometimes it's standing back and letting someone fall so they can learn to stand. Thank you for loving me enough to let me struggle. Thank you for seeing who I could become instead of just accepting who I was. I'm not there yet. But I'm trying. Every single day, I'm trying." Below the message was a check. For $500. I looked up at her, confused. "It's not much," she said quickly. "But it's a start. Of paying you back. Not just the money. But the years. The sacrifices. All of it. Emma, you don't have to." "I know I don't have to. I want to. Please. Let me do this." I looked at the check. At my daughter's face. Saw the woman she was becoming. "Okay," I said quietly. "Thank you." We sat there in that cafe, the place where we'd rebuilt everything, and I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Hope. Real hope. The months continued. She got a promotion at her main job. Started taking online classes. Saved up for a better apartment. Paid off the payday loan early. She still struggled. Still called sometimes, voice tight with stress, admitting things were hard. But she never asked me to fix it. She asked for advice. For perspective. For someone to tell her she was strong enough. And I was there. Not as a savior. But as a mother. A real mother. One who supported without enabling. Who loved without sacrificing herself into nothing. One evening, a year and a half after everything changed, she came to my apartment with her phone. "Can you show me that thing again?" The banking app feature. "I want to teach my roommate how to use it, but I can't quite remember all the steps." I showed her. Patiently. The way she'd shown me. When we finished, she looked at me. Really looked at me. "I spent so long thinking you were always there to serve me. That you existed to make my life easier. I never saw you as a person who had dreams and struggles and needs. I never saw you at all. You see me now," I said. "That's what matters." "I do." She took my hand. "And I see someone incredible. Someone strong. Someone who loved me enough to stop enabling me. Someone who's living her own life instead of just existing for mine." The words settled around us like a blanket. If this story moved you, click on the next video that's appearing on the screen now. I'm sure you'll be surprised by this new emotional and heartbreaking story I have right here to tell you.